Okay, think about the device you're maybe listening on right now, or, the computer sitting nearby. It's pretty mind-blowing, isn't it? Just how far things have come. And so fast.
It really is. The pace of change is just staggering.
So that's what we want to dig into in this deep dive. We're going to try and chart the evolutionary path of computers. We've looked at a bunch of historical observations and some pretty interesting projections about where things might go.
Exactly. We're looking at how we got from these room-sized giants to the supercomputers we carry around and trying to figure out, what's next based on those trends.
Okay, so let's start way back. Back with what we can maybe call the binary dinosaurs.
Ah, yeah. Good name for them.
You think about those very early machines. Babbage's concepts, the code breakers at Bletchley Park during the war. I mean, they weren't just big. They were colossal.
Absolutely enormous and heavy. And, well, compared to today, incredibly slow. Laughably slow, really.
It's kind of striking when you make that direct comparison, isn't it? A whole room versus, something that fits in your hand.
And the processing power difference. It's almost impossible to grasp, a tiny fraction of what even a basic smartphone can do now.
And it's easy to just focus on them getting smaller, right? Like thinking, dinosaur evolution was only about getting bigger or smaller.
Right, but that misses a lot of the picture.
Yeah, because our sources really emphasize, it's like biological evolution.
Yeah.
There are multiple trends driving it. Sure, size is a huge one, dramatically smaller. But think about the power they used.
Oh, huge amounts of energy. They were real energy hogs.
And storage. Back then.
Yeah.
Almost nothing compared to the terabytes we barely think about now.
That's such a critical point. It's not just miniaturization. You've got this massive drop in power consumption alongside this incredible exponential growth in storage.
Yeah.
Those are just as vital as the size reduction.
Which sort of naturally brings us towards the home computer era.
Right. The next big leap.
So jump forward to the late 70s. You start seeing these home computer kits appearing.
Mostly for hobbyists, really.
Yeah, exactly. People who like tinkering. Because, there wasn't much software and everything was completely incompatible with everything else. Different chips, different operating systems.
It was a real Wild West, that period. Very fragmented. Exciting for the tech enthusiasts, sure, but a big barrier for, regular people.
But then came 1981. And the IBM PC, that was a real turning point.
A huge moment. Even if IBM didn't quite intend it to standardize things initially.
Right. It kind of accidentally kicked off this trend towards hardware getting standardized. Suddenly other companies could make compatibles. Often cheaper, sometimes better.
And that really created this critical mass, didn't it? This compatible hardware base meant suddenly there was a real incentive for software development.
Which made the whole idea of a home computer way more attractive to, everyone.
Exactly. And the sales figures show it. What was it, 7.4 million IBM PCs between 81 and 87?
Yeah, and by 83, they were selling something like 45,000 a month. It just shows how even accidental standardization can really light a fire under a new technology. Okay, so the hardware starts to get a bit more uniform. But what really pushed things to the next stage? The sources point squarely at connectivity, the World Wide Web.
Networks existed before, of course, but the web was different.
Totally different. It wasn't really until, August 6th, 1991, Tim Berners-Lee creates the first website at CERN. That was the spark.
It's pretty remarkable, isn't it, how one website could trigger such a massive global change. When it went public in 94 and browsers started appearing.
Wow, the growth was insane. From 2,700 sites in 94 to over 250,000 just 2 years later.
Yeah, 257,000 by 96. That's explosive growth. It shows just how much pent-up desire there was for that kind of interconnected information.
And then, of course, 1998, Google arrives and basically organizes it all, makes it navigable for ordinary people.
Right. And suddenly having a modem wasn't optional anymore. It became standard. Essential, really.
That period, that's when the home computer really became the online home computer. Being connected was the key thing.
It shifted from being just a tool you owned to being your portal to this global network. Connectivity became the defining feature.
And that connection got a huge speed boost, too, with broadband rolling out around 2000 in the UK, for example.
Big difference.
Suddenly browsing, downloading, sharing. It all got much easier, much faster. And the websites themselves got more complex, more interactive.
And we shifted, didn't we, from deliberately going online to just sort of being online, always connected.
Yeah, that always-on feeling, which completely changed how we use computers. They weren't just standalone things anymore.
They became essential portals for information, for communication, everything.
Which leads us neatly into the next massive shift, mobile computing.
Right, moving off the desktop.
First laptops, then tablets, and then boom, the era where you could carry a genuinely powerful computer everywhere, the smartphone.
And it's funny to think the smartphone evolved from the mobile phone, the cell phone?
Yeah, its original purpose was calls.
Exactly, but pretty quickly, its main job became computing. Telephony is almost like a secondary app now.
So true. Most communication is via apps, not actual phone calls.
Which does make you wonder, could that regular phone call ability eventually just disappear entirely, become sort of vestigial?
It's a weird thought, but yeah, maybe. It's hard now to even think of them as anything but these incredibly powerful little computers. Multi-core processors, loads of memory, storage, amazing cameras, multitasking.
Absolutely. The smartphone is kind of the ultimate expression so far of that relentless trend. Smaller, faster, more powerful.
So, okay, that more or less brings us to today's world. And the obvious question is, what's next? Where do we go from here?
Well, the sources we looked at tend to frame the public increasingly as primarily consumers of data.
And right now, the smartphone is the main way we consume that data, isn't it? The main interface.
It really is. And the adoption numbers are just wild. Since 2014, a quadrupling of users globally in just 10 years.
4 times.
Yeah. And that's despite the obvious limitations, right? Screen size isn't huge. Typing on them can be awkward.
But it just shows the power of having that access. Always with you. Ubiquitous access.
Portability is king, it seems. Even with those trade-offs, the fact that it's in your pocket makes it the go-to device for connecting.
Though, of course, traditional computers, laptops, desktops, they're still vital for actually creating content for more complex work.
Oh, for sure. But for consumption, the phone dominates. And you can't ignore the infrastructure behind it.
Right. The cell towers, the constantly improving network speeds, that's been absolutely fundamental to the smartphone taking over the world.
Couldn't have happened without it.
Okay, so if the smartphone is the dominant interface now, using touch, speech, vision, audio, what could evolve from that?
Well, we already see hints, don't we? Smartwatches give you a sort of limited interaction. Bluetooth earbuds are everywhere now, with mics and speakers built in.
So could you see a future where everything a smartphone does gets crammed into, say, a smartwatch, maybe with a better screen?
It feels like a logical next step in making things even more portable, more seamless, integrating it right onto your body.
But then you hit the power problem, right? Smartphones already chew through battery. How do you power something even smaller doing all that work?
That's the huge challenge. People aren't going to want to watch. They have to charge constantly.
Yo way.
So this is where we'll need breakthroughs. Maybe kinetic charging, like some automatic watches use, or just much, much better battery tech, denser, smaller battery.
More efficient processors too, presumably, using less juice.
Absolutely essential. Smarter power management, more efficient chips, the works.
What about the charging itself? Could wireless charging become so common that our devices are just constantly sipping power wherever we go? Walk into a shop, sit in a cafe, and it just tops up.
That's a really compelling idea. Public spaces just seamlessly providing power, it would pretty much eliminate ever needing to plug in.
So presumably there'd be costs, right?
Yeah.
Infrastructure, maybe user fees.
Oh, almost certainly. But the convenience factor could be enormous.
Okay, but the screen on a watch is still tiny. Not great for watching videos or anything like that. What about contact lenses as the ultimate display?
Yeah, sources mention companies are actively researching that. A display right on your eye.
Sounds very sci-fi.
It does. But then you look at smart glasses, which haven't exactly taken the world by storm yet.
Good point. Limited success there.
It reminds us there are real practical issues, and user acceptance is huge. I mean, not everyone wants to wear contact lenses, right?
True. Definitely not for everyone. Still, we are seeing interesting display tech now, like folding screens on phones.
Right, giving you a bigger screen when you need it, but still portable. That feels like a real step in that direction.
A tangible indicator of where displays might go.
Absolutely. And don't forget projection tech either. Imagine just projecting a screen onto any flat surface whenever you need one.
Or maybe the computer just disappears entirely into our clothes. Smart sunglasses woven into the fabric.
These are all fascinating possibilities. The overall direction seems clear, though. Making the tech more invisible, more intuitive, less like a separate thing we carry, and more just part of our lives.
So, looking at everything, the sources seem pretty optimistic. They call the future of computing dazzling.
Yeah, it's a strong word, but maybe accurate.
And it feels like that future will be driven less by just raw specs, faster chips, more RAM, and more by Convenience, ease of access, how smoothly it fits into our lives.
Precisely. The focus is shifting towards creating more seamless experiences, more integrated, more, you could say, human-centered tech.
Okay, so just to quickly wrap up where we've been, we traced this incredible journey, right, from those giant binary dinosaurs
Right, through the rise of the home PC, the huge impact of the web.
to the mobile revolution and the smartphone that dominates today. We looked at miniaturization, power, connectivity, mobility, all key drivers.
And stepping back, you really see this relentless push to make computing more personal, more portable, and just more integrated into everything we do.
So here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. As we move towards these even more seamless interfaces, this truly everywhere connectivity, how is that going to fundamentally change how we interact, not just with information, but with the world itself, in ways we probably haven't even properly imagined yet?
Yeah, it's not just about the tech itself, is it? It's about how our relationship with the tech and through it with everything else continues to evolve. It's a profound shift. And for you, dear listener, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.